What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Drummers Education Connection. I'm thrilled to be here again. My name is Jeremy Steinkohler. I'm here with my very dear friends, amazing drummers, terrific educators, Rick Stojak,
Hello.
Robley,
Howdy.
Dick Ritter.
Hello.
And we are very, very excited and always honored to have our very dear friend back on our show. We love to see her every time we do. I learn so much every time she's on. Welcome back, Kelli Rae Tubbs.
Hey.
We are expecting also Jim Mola to join us. He's having some technical issues connecting to our stream, but hopefully he'll be on very shortly. Thanks you guys for tuning in again. Our show today is primarily going to focus on a contest and organization, I guess, that Kelli Rae Tubbs is involved with. It's called Hit Like a Girl. And Kelly's going to tell us all about that. We're going to ask her lots of questions, and hopefully we'll get some tidbits about what other things she's up to. So Kelli, what is Hit Like? For those of us who've never heard about it, what is Hit Like a Girl?
It is. This is the 12th year of an international drumming contest that is for girls, women, female identifying, and non-binary drummers. And it's a really great opportunity. There are weekly prizes. There's grand prizes. People get seen by entering this contest. And for those who maybe aren't at a level, that kind of level where they can be seen, it's a great opportunity. And I think, probably one of the most important and earliest opportunities for some of these drummers to actually learn the work that it takes to prepare for an audition or recital or shooting a video or putting together anything, and just understanding how much work it takes to put that together is a really important lesson, I think.
Here's Jim.
I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, Jim. Welcome.
Jim.
Hi,
Jim.
Happy to have you, man.
That was an adventure.
We're live too, by the way. We're already streaming, man.
First name and everything, is that all went out live? That's great.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good.
Well, Kelly, one of the things that I started doing just a few years ago was having recitals for my students, and up until that point, they were doing their own thing or they were participating in band workshops and things. But I found that a recital was an opportunity for them to do exactly what you're talking about, to really put something together to a level of being ready to perform it in front of their friends and family, in front of other drummers. And that was interesting because it got them more serious and it got them more focused, and it got them to a higher level of performance with the thing they were working on. So I get that the Hit Like a Girl contest can offer the same opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would you agree with that, Jim?
I think the contest has been a great opportunity for everybody. Yeah. There's not that many places for young people to play. To have an audience of this size and to have the industry's ears has been a game changer.
So is it an online contest? Do they have chapters where it happens in person? Tell us about that.
So everybody prepares a video. So you can take as long as you need. There's 6 weeks of entries. So you might be ready in the first week. If so, that's really great. There are benefits to entering in the first and in the early weeks. But you might not be ready until the 6th week. And if so, upload your entry there. And there's a form on the contest, which is hitlikeagirlcontest.com. And you upload your video to either YouTube or I think Vimeo. But it tells the instructions on exactly where to put your video. They then compile all of those and put them on their website so the entire public can see those videos. And that's great. There's places for people, just general people, to go and comment and say, hey, this was really great. You did this really difficult fill at this spot and it was clean. And hats off to you for putting in the work. And you also get to read a little bit about their story, about their backstory and what their background is and what their goals are and things like that. So there's a great opportunity there. Scholarship money, at least some years, maybe not this year, I'm not sure. Prizes,
cool.
In product prizes and things like that. And
Kelly,
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people who make videos these days are trepidatious, especially women, about putting their stuff up open for criticism, and they get torn apart, and you get all sorts of trolls and nasty people. I imagine the Hit Like a Girl administration monitors that and keeps it supportive.
I would imagine so. I haven't seen that. I haven't gone through the website because I'm seeing them on my, on my own computer in a much more controlled atmosphere when I'm doing the judging.
Right.
But yeah, I would imagine that they make sure that the riffraff is somewhere else.
Right. Well, I imagine also people sort of the right kind of people find themselves on this website supporting this kind of thing because it's such a cool opportunity.
Absolutely.
They support.
So Jim, how you guys are both judges in this contest, correct?
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about how you came to be a judge, and then when you are judging these videos, I imagine, I wonder, are there criteria that they have to meet in terms of style or length or duration or complexity, what level, and how do you guys judge? What do you make your assessments based on?
Well, for me, I can't judge someone and say, well, this person has faster hands, so I'll give them a higher score. I try and judge everyone on its merits of what they're trying to accomplish, what comes to me that they're actually trying to put across, and how successfully they do it. So, if they're rocking a backbeat and the time is good and the fill's in the right spot, that's up for me. If someone's trying to show off some fusion chops and they've worked really hard on learning a Dave Weckl play along or something like that, I mean, those people could actually get, for me anyway, could get the same score.
Love that.
Is the scoring, Jim and Kelly, is this like Jeremy was asking about the criteria? Are you given certain parameters that, okay, you want to look for this, or is it like a personal thing to you on how to score it, I guess would be the question.
Well, Kelly, you might have a different idea. I don't think that there's any. I mean, there are guidelines, things that you're supposed to look for.
Right.
We started taking the story into account, as Kelly has said. Someone's what brought someone to the drums can add to their score, I think.
Okay.
Jim, could you tell us a little bit more about that? The criteria? Is it like groove? Is it dynamics? Is it a point system? Is there some of that kind of judging?
It is a point system.
Yeah.
But Kelli Rae, forgive me if I'm wrong, but did they change ours and take some of the things out of our judging this year, right?
They did. So in prior years, and you asked the question, how did I at least get to this? I think Jim's answer might also be the same. But I was asked by the Sabian Education Network 7 years ago to participate as a judge, and I'm guessing that might be the same for you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yep. And so in previous years, they've kind of changed the way that they are doing the judging over the course of the 7 years. And at first, we were given a rubric that had things like technicality, groove, musicality, sound, video, right? Which you're not expecting, but that's a part of that whole package that you're presenting. And story, maybe another item or two, and different scales. So maybe one is on a scale of 1 to 15, but the story is only on a scale of maybe 1 to 5. So you better make your story worth something, right?
Right.
That's going to count. That's going to count for something big on the flip side of that.
Hey, you guys, what are the age requirements of the drummers that enter? How old do you have to be to get in the contest?
Well,
there is no age limitation. Yeah.
What's the youngest?
No age limitation.
Correct. There are age groups so that you are in with a group that's 17 and under, or 18 to something else, 40 and over. But I think the youngest contestant they've had is 4, and I think the oldest is 80.
Ooh, I got a 2-year-old I'm going to send your way.
How many people submit to this contest each year?
Oh, I don't know. Jim, do you know?
I don't know that number either. I know that it's grown immensely from when it started.
Mhm.
Of awareness in terms of just people talking about it, and also in terms of industry involvement and social media coverage. I mean, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and
Right.
it's great to see it grow. I don't know how many participants there actually.
Are we talking hundreds or thousands?
Oh, definitely hundreds, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
The-
I'm not sure either.
We see a certain number of participants, over the course of the weeks.
So,
Okay.
I was under the impression that you judged every submission, but no.
No.
Okay.
Just a
Okay.
Now,
segment.
you may have answered this question already, so forgive me. When somebody submits, okay, I have a student that wants to submit a video. That goes to you guys individually, or goes to the judges first before it's uploaded to the website, or do you upload it to the website already? Which is, and I'm sorry, I
It's
missed
on
that.
the website uploaded by them,
Right.
and
Okay.
then we get a sheet. This is who you're going to be evaluating
We're direct.
Oh, okay.
on a scale of
Okay.
1. We only do it this now as in the layer of judges that we are, because there's a multi-level layer of judging.
Okay.
We only judge on a score of 1 to 10, but for me, that means I'm looking at all of those other elements and creating a score from 1 to 10.
Hmm.
And then those people then are rated by another layer of judges.
Okay. Now you had also said something about the sound and the video quality.
Mhm.
Is that correct, Kelly?
That is correct.
Okay. So
At least it has been correct in previous years.
okay. So let's say that a student doesn't necessarily have like access to a recording studio or really high quality video.
Mhm.
What would you suggest to them? How would they go about doing it if they just send in a video from their phone and the audio is not so great? Is that going to count against them, or what would be your suggestions? And that's to both you guys, Kelly and Jim, please.
Yeah. Take it first.
I mean, if someone has a poorly lit room and an old iPhone camera, and they're playing their behind off, they're going to get a high score from me.
All
So,
right.
Okay, I love that.
I mean,
Okay.
that's just because that's what we're here for, right? We're here
Right.
to encourage.
It's a drumming contest first.
Yeah.
How long are the videos supposed to be?
If someone goes the extra mile and shows that they care, I mean, we live in a social media age, right? I mean,
Mhm.
look at the trouble I had getting on StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, if they're savvy and they have the wherewithal to buy some lights and up their camera game, then yeah, I think they should get some credit for that. I don't penalize someone who doesn't have that. But I also have seen, not many, I've seen 1 or 2 instances, someone's in a studio with perfect setup and they're overdubbing. You can see that they
Oh, they fixed something.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Yeah. And speaking to that, are you want to continue, and I'll talk after you.
Yeah, I just that I'm not a fan of that. It's like
Sure.
Right.
show me your performance, because that's where I think when I came in, recitals and things. I mean, we've all geared up for a performance, right? We've all practiced and tried to work everything out, and then the lights go on, and you see the faces in front of you, and everything changes, right?
It does.
You over prepare, but still that excitement or that adrenaline or whatever it is that kicks in,
Yeah.
that determines that performance. So
Mhm.
I want to hear their performance. I don't want a perfect take, because we can all do that,
Right.
Right.
And sometimes by video, it means exactly that. It's like, are you intentionally splicing because you finally got this fill right, instead of playing a fill that you can actually achieve?
Right.
I don't want to see a splice. For me, having
Yeah.
been in audition situations, video audition situations, where you're not allowed to splice anything. It has to be the full cut, and it's an hour-long video, right?
Mhm.
Wow.
Being in that situation for the 3-minute performance, I don't want to see a cut. I want to see in a video what is a good video to me, is something where you can see the person's hands, you can see the snare drum, you can see either their feet or their thigh, or the front bass drum head reacting to what they're playing.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's like jazz. You know, you gotta have a good take all in one go. It's live in the studio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a certain way, but you know, there are things that people can do to help themselves make that happen. So take you know, set your camera up where you think you want it, and if you don't have enough light where a face is, well, get a bunch of flashlights or get a, you know, it doesn't have to be difficult. It literally, if you can't get light on a part of your face and you need light there, put a step ladder up, you know, get a clip-on light and make light for yourself. It doesn't have to be expensive. You just have to think about the problem and solve the problem.
You know, I absolutely love that. That's one of the things that, you know, Kelly, you said at the beginning, you know, that you've got to, you know, in the music industry, you're going to have those kind of problems, you know, whether it be shooting a video or, like Jim said, in a live situation when the curtain goes up and the lights on. You've got to sometimes overcome problems instantly. And you had said at the beginning of the thing that this is a great learning thing for students as well, because they're learning how to, hey, I'll go get a stepladder and put some flashlights on it, like you said. You know, it's a great learning tool. And remember, you're shooting a video, you know, you can redo it. You can always hit erase.
Absolutely.
So if it takes you, to get that perfect fill that you guys are talking about, instead of an overdub, if it takes you 100 times to play the part, that's what it takes anyway. So do that. I think that's a great learning tool. Would you agree? Sorry, Jim.
You're capturing a performance. I mean, that's what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
It was secondary. The video is there to capture the performance. So, and
you guys...
that actually translates pretty well. I think most people, like I said, I've only caught the dubbing thing a couple of times, the fixing things. I think most people kind of get this idea, and you know, and I think they're excited by it. That's one of the things I think that's great about this contest, is that, especially in the younger kids, because now I think I've judged 3 of the 4 age groups, I think. But especially with the younger kids, you know, and you see them really focusing and really nailing it. And sometimes at the end of the video, it's like you'll see someone like look up at mom or dad, or look over. Yes, that was the one. You know, they leave on there. That's aspects of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Are you guys mainly doing songs, or are they also doing drum solos?
I've seen mostly songs. Every once in a while, in my experience, someone will, you know, put in a solo or have some kind of, I mean, you do get all kinds of submissions, you know, you get all kinds of things, and everyone's got their artistic ideas, right? So, but most of them, I think, are songs that I've seen.
What's the length again of the submission?
There's not a requirement.
Oh, okay.
There was a really great contestant. I don't know if it was last year or the year before last, and her submission was like under 2 minutes long. And that was hard for me, because it's like everybody else is putting in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, something that's twice as long. Her groove was so good, though. Like, please make this longer. But, you know, you have to judge on what it is that you receive. And, but I wished that we had seen the whole song. She probably wasn't even intending to enter the contest. You know, it was clearly at a live gig, and somebody, you know, captured some video, and then they decided to enter it later, is my guess.
I love that. I
So
love that. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step over you, Kelly. I apologize. But so, you know, somebody's at a gig, they're doing their thing, and their friend or mom or dad videos them, and they're like, man, this is so good, you ought to send it in to Hit Like a Girl. That they can do that.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I would say that there are benefits to that, and there are detriments to that, and it doesn't have anything to do with them. It has to do with everything that isn't them. Right. So the lighting on the drummer is usually kind of crappy, right? And you're blocked by other bodies. What else? If the guitar player rushes in this spot,
All right.
right?
Which they always do.
It
They
happens.
usually do.
Or this person drags or whatever. That's reflecting on your playing because we're not sure. We've never heard this guitar player before. We don't know if that's him rushing or you falling behind. So
Right.
there are good things and bad things. It all depends on who you're playing with.
Well, it's
Hey.
always the guitar player. It's never our fault.
Do you guys-
Jeremy Steinkohler and Bart Robley hunted down by guitar players worldwide. 6 o'clock news tonight.
Do you guys know who started this and what was the mission behind starting it?
Well, David Levine,
Mm.
who's been in the industry for forever, I think, is this his brainchild alone, or does he have partners in there? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a great question that I've never asked, because I've known him kind of socially, through trade shows and things over the years. So when this launched and he asked me to be a judge, I mean, I just said yes and didn't think more about it than that.
I wanted to share a story with you all that might be relative. Years ago, I was a judge at the Guitar Center drum contest, the drum off here in San Diego. And we had a guy who came up and played, and he had the fastest double kicks and lots of speed. The groove was the groove, right? And this girl came up and she played and she just laid back. She had the most beautiful pocket. She wasn't overwhelming, and she made the whole room go like that. And she won.
Mm-hmm.
This guy
You should have.
who was playing all fast didn't get it. He was really upset with us, with all the judges. He was having a real issue, and so we talked him down and calmed him down. I gave him a copy of Zorro's The Big Gig because he felt like this was going to be the segue to his career success. Because he thought he was going to go all the way, and he made that really, really clear. So he put so much stake in the result of it, and so I hope he's doing well now. But have you guys ever had a little bit of kickback from people saying, "Oh, we should have won"?
I saw some last year. What
Yeah.
about you?
No, I don't think anyone's ever reached out to me personally and complained about anything. No.
No, and it wasn't personally directed to me because I don't know that they knew that I was a judge, but it was on a Facebook website. And really, what had happened was they didn't do the submission properly.
Mm.
Yep.
So should it have been disqualified or not? I went out and searched and tried to find it, and I ended up finding it, and it ended up being included. So the question, there's a couple of questions there.
Yeah.
How many?
Well, I
So
just
you guys,
expect anybody who gets into one of these contests and just go in with an open mind and go in with the thought that this is an opportunity for you to grow as a musician. And you're very lucky that you get professional judges like you two offering you some tips on how you can improve your lessons or improve your playing. And so that is like a free drum lesson. So, but I think there a lot of people might hold back because they're a little bit scared, but I think go for it. It's a great chance to evolve your drumming.
the organization was founded in 2012 by Phil Hood of Drum Magazine and David Levine of Full Circle Management and Mindy Abevitz Monk.
She's the editor of creator of Tom Tom Magazine.
Right.
There you go.
Of Tom, what'd you say, Kelly? Tom Tom Magazine?
Tom Tom Magazine.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out. Okay, cool.
Tom Tom's still around?
I believe so.
Good.
I haven't written anything for them lately, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I believe it's going strong. I don't know if it's in print or just digital at this point.
Good to hear. I know the drum magazine world has changed so much. So
it really has. I have a question now, and Rick, you touched on it a little bit, but I want to throw it out there. I have a student that her goal this year was to submit to Hit Like a Girl. She wants to do it so bad. however, she's a lot scared, you know, and I'm trying to talk her through it and just say, you know, go for it. You can do this. You can do it. And she's playing great. Her time and her feel is fantastic. She's working on this really cool shuffle rock piece, and she's killing it. And I think she's a bit trepidatious about putting herself out there. What from two of the judges of and I'm going to see her later this afternoon to make sure she watches this video. So for two of the judges from Hit Like a Girl, what would your advice be to my student or to anybody that's, you know, a little bit intimidated about doing it? What would be your advice?
Well, for me, you know, it's all case by case. I mean, if someone's playing isn't at a point where they have a chance of winning their category, but the act of entering and you know, and being on that platform is important, then I'd say, yeah, go ahead, you know, get in there. You know, because the previous story was about someone whose all their hopes were tied up in winning. You know, that's I don't know. That's kind of a gray area, I think. Not everyone's going to win, you know, and that's okay. But I think it's a great process, and I think, you know, I think your student should definitely try it. You know, this debilitating fear, I would say, yeah, put on a light and play a beat and see yourself up there with, you know, all these other contestants and get a lay of the land. You know, it's like, oh, that student did that really well. You know, I could learn from that. That to me is the greatest thing about this, because it's the Gene Krupa drum contest. The contests are nothing new, you know, but the social media aspect and just being able to go on and watch and see who's doing what. But you're all kind of in the same direction. You're all kind of trying to win the same prize, so to speak. I don't see any downside in that, you know. And I've actually had students that have entered and did okay, and some less than others. But you know, it's a great process. It's a great thing. It forces you to kind of collect at any age, whether you're working on learning single paradiddles or what. It forces you to kind of collect yourself and say, what am I going to put on this video? I have 3 minutes. What am I going to say here? That's always a good thing for anyone, I think.
For anyone, yeah.
For anyone.
Yeah.
And to that, I would add that with your students who feel scared, week one entries are up online. Look at week one's entries from all of the age categories, not necessarily all of the videos, but from each age category, and look and learn and say, let's look at this video. You know, how is the playing? How is the lighting? Can you see everything? You know, and start to have her think about not just the drumming, but the whole picture and what she can learn from other people's whole pictures.
That's fantastic. I thank you for that advice to both of you. I like that a lot. I always tell all of my students, and I've told her too, and I think it's a general thread in today's conversation, that, you know, focus on the work, not on the outcome. Like Rick was saying, if your whole focus on entering a drum contest is, I'm going to win this thing and it's going to, you know, rocket me into superstar stratosphere, and I'm going to be on the cover of Modern Drummer and, you know, play for the next greatest band ever, you're kind of, you know, maybe not focusing on what you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on, you know, the single paradiddle or the really good groove or the linear thing, whatever it is that you're submitting for. You guys, would you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a larger social media kind of dilemma as well, I think, and a lot of my peers, we talk about this a lot. You know, you practice drums and you learn to play drums, and you watch other drummers to learn how to play drums better. You watch people who are better than you, and all that combines to kind of make you move forward. But it was always aimed towards gigs. It was always aimed towards working with musicians.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you sat and played like the Guitar Center contestant, if you got on stage and, you know, wailed on a double pedal, someone's going to turn around and go, what are you doing? You know, someone else on the bandstand is going to say, no, stop that.
Yeah.
You know, whereas on social media, there's like, dude, that was great. Do more of that.
Yeah.
That's problematic, I think. You know, so I mean, you know, we've all been on bandstands. We've spent our life on bandstands, and that's it. It's the nod from the saxophone player that says, "Yeah, give me more of that. I like that. I'm you know, this is working."
Yeah.
Playing with musicians. You know, in my PAS capacity, I have been collecting some videos from people to put some videos up on our social media channel, Instagram, and I got one from John Beck, and it was just that. And for anyone who doesn't know, John Beck actually taught Steve Gadd and many others how to play, and John Beck is one of the great percussion educators in our business. And he's just standing in his office with his phone kind of an angle like this, a few points. And then he says, you know, and most of all, enjoy playing music with people and for people, you know. I mean, that's the gig, you know. It's not so much double bass for the cameras and the followers, you know. And that's why I lean into, if someone plays a great groove with poor lighting, but I can feel that happening on a bandstand and other musicians liking that, they're going to get a great grade from me, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking about great grades, are there contestants in the past that have done stuff that really stood out to you and made an impression, and why?
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of them. I mean, just, you know, to see a 9 or 12-year-old kid who's just got it all together at such an early age. I mean, you know, they pop through periodically, and that's pretty amazing to me. I never, at any age, I mean, to see an older person that has that kind of display as well. But it's just to see the enthusiasm and to see where you can see where people have focused. You can see, no matter what age, you can see what they have focused on.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you get someone who is kind of focused on everything. Someone sat them down, or their instincts, or, you know, I mean, Alan Dawson sat Tony Williams down, but Tony Williams was Tony Williams, you know. That combination was great. And that discipline where you see someone that's got a great pocket, and then they look comfortable, and they're playing great, and then they'll play some fill, and you go, I didn't expect to see that there. It's fun. For me, it's really fun to watch all these things come through like that.
Cool.
So how many winners are there? Is there like first, second, third place per category? And obviously they're going to feel good if they won it. They're going to get some bragging rights, but are there any specific benefits that they give to the winners? Prizes?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I think that this year, each week, the top 3 are awarded some prize of some sort. I haven't been to, you know, once I see them, you know, I'm on to the next group, you know. But I think the top 3 scorers in each age category get some sort of a prize. There's also like a People's Choice at the very end once all of I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. And then those celebrity judges then are picking the cream of the crop from the cream of the crop.
Right.
Oh, cool.
It sounds like with $50,000 worth of prizes, somebody's going to get a prize.
What was that?
It sounds like the website said they have over $50,000 in prizes.
That is not a surprise. Yeah.
Wow. That's
cymbals
great.
And drum sets and snare drums.
Wow.
And all sorts of things. Yeah.
Right on.
That's awesome. I got a question for you, Jim. I want to throw this out there. You had talked about the fast double bass and the social media aspect of things, right? Because I agree with you 100%. I think that sometimes the stuff on social media is, okay, look how much fast I can play double bass, and that's what people like now. Do you guys take that into consideration? Is there like the social media aspect? We go, okay, well, this gal can really, man, she's got blazing feet, you know, and stuff. Do you take that stuff into consideration for that area? How does that work for you?
Or like their potential, their social media potential, what they have together, you mean? I don't know.
Well, just into the contest. I mean, do you go, okay, well, you know, that is an element and they can do that. Do you take that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so, you know, yes, absolutely. Listen, you know, my practice pad is right here. It takes it takes a lot of work to, you know, to develop certain things, you know, anything takes time to develop. You know, so I've been teaching forever. I've been teaching a really long time, and I've been in New York for a really long time. And there are some things that are just kind of hammered into my head. I saw Steve Gadd and Sean Pelton play double drums the other night for 5 hours.
Wow.
That just sounds delicious.
It was so beyond great. It was so beyond great. And I mean, and I'm watching, you know, two of the best ever. And obviously everyone knows Steve Gadd, but I actually sitting there with my wife and watching this concert and I'm thinking, every drummer on the planet, I don't care who they are, I don't care how fast their feet are, every drummer on the planet should aspire to Sean Pelton's career.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, this is, to me, it's like he's the first call in New York for just about everything. You know, like my day job is I sing and I've done a lot of jingles and I put the headphones on, I'm listening to the track and I go, oh, who's on drums? Oh, that's Sean. You know, sometimes it's Ray Marchica, sometimes it's Clint DeGannon, but these are people who like a lot of people don't know about, but they're the busiest people on the planet. You know, so to me, it's like, what does it take for Sean Pelton? And I'm leaving Steve Gadd out on purpose because he's Steve Gadd. We all know we don't need to, you know, we don't need to deliberate that. But people might not know who Sean Pelton is. He's playing a 5-hour concert with Mavis Staples and Sheryl Crow and James Taylor. Everyone's music different. They're reading all of it. You know, there are horns for some, there are strings for some, there's pared down rhythm sections for some. The field, there's New Orleans fields, there's big rock stuff, there's James Taylor. I mean, it ran the gamut of popular music.
Right.
And you have to have so much together to make that all happen in this one chair. Right. And the music's here and he's, you know, he's reading it all. I've worked with him. I've done big sessions with him and he does it perfectly. He doesn't make mistakes. So, you know, I'm certainly not going to take away from the social media aspect of it because that's the world we live in. And, you know, my son who's upstairs, you know, he's always telling me like, Dad, you know, your YouTube, we got to get you more followers. Dad, what are you doing? That's but it's not what I think about. So my instinct is when I see someone come out that you know, that is entering this contest, it's like, I want to hear their heart and I want to hear music. And if along the way they're showing me something else that they've spent a lot of time on, I think that's great. But you know, I said at the outset, you know, someone's going to do a Dave Weckl play along, and the next person's going to play Charlie Watts.
I think we all have to accept that all styles are valid. So if I was considering being in this contest, I wouldn't think, oh, well, these guys are into jazz, so I better become some jazz drummer that I'm not. So if you're, you know, we're not cutting down on double kick. If you're playing double kick and you're a girl who plays extreme metal and death metal, and you play with dynamics, you've got the perfect blast beat.
Oh, exactly. I'm talking about gratuitous stuff, like about the Guitar Center guy. You know, it's like and to think look, this is something. Well, by itself, it's not.
That's right.
You know, death metal. You know, that's not appropriate, I don't think, to play.
Tony Williams said, you know, to play fast around the drums is one thing. To play music that people actually want to listen to, that's completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
And
exactly. The contestants I've seen have ranged everywhere from classic rock to alternative stuff to death metal to chick with a didgeridoo, and that was completely different.
Yeah.
Didgeridoo and a drum set, and just rocking it herself. And I mean, I've have listened to original compositions. I've listened to people playing to tracks. I've listened to people playing on top of a recording that they're playing through speakers. If you're a person who has to record everything all at once, I would say, take some sample recordings to make sure that you can hear your drums over the drums on the recording.
That's huge. Yes.
It's very huge because look, the drums are going and her hand's going like this. It's like, oh, that's not you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you know what okay. What about, we've all used the Tommy Igoe book, right? Groove Essentials. Great books. Love Tommy. Could people enter with that? Hey, groove 18 fast. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I just pulled it out. But if somebody wanted to do that, could they submit that?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Great. Cool. Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jim Riley has play-along tracks. Drumeo is providing play-along tracks, or they have in the past. You can find play-along tracks on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hal Leonard has those play-along books, or it's the music of AC/DC, or the music of the Police, or the music of Buddy Rich. And it's got play-along tracks with it, and you can use that too. So it's really wide open on whether you're accompanied or unaccompanied, by live, by recorded.
Can hand drummers submit, or is it just a drum set thing?
There are different contests throughout the year. And so I know there's a marching emphasis, there's a percussion emphasis. There you go.
Beat maker thing, right? Is that they
still there's also a beat maker.
Ultimate, okay.
And I know that there has been world drumming, but I'm not sure where that is lining up and exactly what they're looking for. So I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question right off the top of my head.
How many videos do each of you watch and grade?
It depends on the number of contestants who submit. So maybe this week, what was that, Jim?
I said maybe 10 a week.
10 a week. For how many weeks?
For 6 weeks. Okay. It was extended last year for some reason. I don't remember the reason, but it went out to 8 weeks. I don't expect that to happen this year, but sometimes it's 2 people, right? Your chances of winning first or second or third is pretty good when there's only 2 people. What else? And then there have been other weeks where it's been 16, 17, and sometimes in those cases they'll bring in another judge so that our work isn't too hard.
Okay. Very good.
Jim Royal says hi to everybody. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jim. We love Jim.
Well, it's so fantastic that so many women are drumming. Kelli, you've been on in the past. I suggest people go to listen to the previous shows that Kelli's done for Drummers Education Connection. Women have been drumming forever, right, Kelli? Revolutionary War, the whole bit, even back in the day.
They say that history tells us that the first drummers were women, and that guys were not allowed to drum, and that was because they felt women were sacred, because the women were the only ones there who were giving new birth to their tribe or clan or whatever.
Wow.
They didn't know how science worked yet, and to know it was a couple's deal. And so that happened, and then things change, and social climates change, and now it's maybe not so cool for women to be drummers, but there have always been women drummers, even at times when it's unpopular. And I would say that there are places in the world yet where it's illegal for women to drum, and there are nations where they don't believe that women should be drummers. It's kind of like the didgeridoo. Right? We were talking about that a little bit earlier, where that was traditionally a male instrument and women were not allowed. And now that that opinion is changing, and there are going to be people who are super steadfast that no, women should never play a didgeridoo, and there are going to be people who say, hey, yeah, what's the problem with that? There's not a problem with that, really. But there are cultures still in the United States that don't believe that women should be playing drums. So, and that's interesting that exists here in this nation, that we think about as being so open and open-minded.
You, one of the times when you were on the show in the past, I had a student for quite a while who they were extremely well-to-do, and her husband thought that she shouldn't play drums, that she should play piano, that it was unladylike. And I was like, I wasn't even going to go there. I just kind of, hey, you want drum lessons? I'm here, you know. But yeah, it's unfortunate for.
It is.
It really is, yeah. And so I think
Well,
contests like this are amazing.
That's why I think one of the great benefits of having a contest like this is it raises the profile of women who are playing drums, and it makes it like, hey, this is, you know, half the population, you know, and there's some amazing drummers out there, and it's totally valid and fantastic and supported and encouraged, and as it should be.
Yes.
And it just makes it seen, makes it visible.
The level of some of these players is as great as anything you've heard.
Sure,
you know?
Of course. Why wouldn't it be? Right.
I had
exactly. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah.
When I was a kid and my drums were in the basement in the house, and I was making my way down the stairs, and I heard, and I went, "What is that?" It was my mother.
Yeah.
My mother. I mean, she's got me to play drums when she was a little girl. There's an amazing amount of talent, you know. I mean, the taboo and who should, and why, and what the reason is. You know, I let other people worry about that part of it. To me, I see the talent. A lot of my students, you know, are, and mallets too. We haven't even talked about that, but young mallet players, it's just amazing. Yeah. So, not letting someone do something for whatever reason, you know, I'm not down with that.
I think the tide has turned because of content like Hit Like a Girl, the Facebook group with Female Drummers United. We had Tammy on the show ages ago.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see so many female drummers. Half of my students are female. And
mine too. I've always had a lot of female.
But interestingly, I'd say a good number of my adult female students who came to it as adults said, I always wanted to do this, but my parents didn't let me, or it wasn't okay for whatever reason when I was young.
Yeah.
And yes, so attitudes are changing. I think that's true. And attitudes are still.
And fortunately for us, we're just in a position where all we have to do is encourage people. That's all.
Right.
Yes, Jim, very well said. Yeah, really? I agree with that. Yeah. I always tell my students, I'm just taking you to the door, you go through it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Awesome.
Hey, so before we let you guys go, we'd love to hear about what other projects you're working on right now, what things you got going on that our community would love to hear about.
Say again.
First.
Jim, I'm asking what projects you've got going on, just finding out more about your background and what you're doing with your drumming so that our community would be interested in.
Well, I mean, you know, things now are kind of coming back to where they were after the few years of shakeup. So I mentioned earlier my day job thing, and I do commercials and voiceovers and stuff like that. So now that work is starting to come through my home studio again, and I'm actually starting to track drums now, which I know everyone's doing that, but I never had to. I never did before. You know, it wasn't anything I was set up for. I've always had a great home studio for vocals, so that's been fun to start doing that. So tracks that I'm writing for people and production that I'm doing for people, I can do it myself, and I don't have to use virtual instruments.
Right.
So that work is all
cool.
back. Been great to see.
That's great.
And
Congratulations.
you are a teacher at the Collective in New York City, is that correct?
I did for years. I'm there now, so it's kind of a long story, but the short of it is that, you know, when the pandemic first hit and the city locked down, we had just finished a semester, so we were kind of closing anyway, and then we were about to do an intensive, and they turned us around quickly into online teaching, and we did our next intensive remotely. So the students, because students came to Collective from all over the world, so we figured out all the time differences and just continued that way. But then the school went through some changes. So a lot of the people, the majority of the people that were there before, aren't there now.
Jim, did you get to work with Peter Retzlaff?
Peter's one of my best friends.
Oh yeah, he's a good friend of ours too, and he's been on the show.
Yeah,
So-
he's been on the show. Great guy.
And I kid him about this all the time. So I started giving master classes at the Collective in 2008. I think I actually joined the faculty, I don't know, 2012, 2014, something like that. But I had been, in the school doing things for a long time. And if you were never there, you really missed something in the old spot on 14th Street. It was a great environment, I mentioned Steve Gadd earlier. Sometimes I'd have a recital or I'd have a rhythm section rehearsal in the big room, and they go, we can't use the big room today. You're going to have you in room B, because Steve Gadd was rehearsing his band in the big room. It was just like Steve Smith.
Oh yeah.
There, it was like,
Yeah.
it was the school. But the only time I would see Peter, because Peter was like one of the heart and soul of the place, really, in many ways. Not to discredit anyone else, because we just had a wonderful faculty, but Peter was really like one of the driving engines of the thing. But he was teaching constantly. So every once in a while, like once or twice a week, we'd be in the teacher's lounge and having a sandwich together for 5 minutes. Once lockdown started, we were on the phone all the time. So we've become closer in the last 2 years than we were in the previous 20. So
Great. He's
But-
such a good guy. Jim, I have to ask you, did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Connecticut, so I was always 45 minutes away. I started coming into here, Elvin, when I was 16, and started studying here when I was 19. And then I moved when I was 25, which was, I'm 30 now, so 5 years ago.
You look great.
There you go.
30.
I beat Rick to the punch.
Amazing.
I got the rim shot in.
Hey, Jim, did you ever run across a teacher in New York named Norman Grossman?
Yeah.
He-
I used to see him at the old percussionists at Ippolito's. So I was hanging at the Ippolito's. I would go in there and, look around. And that was, did any of you guys ever get to experience the Professional Percussion Center? It was
I'm from Colorado, so no, I didn't. I wish.
Into the Pro Drum Shop in LA. I mean, I know it's a lot of the same vibe. You walk in.
Yeah.
Hamilton or Smitty Smith or Joe LaBarbera might be hanging around.
Yeah.
That's the percussion center was like that. You'd walk in there, and Mel Lewis would be talking to Papa Joe.
Dude, you're killing me. That's awesome.
I used to study with Norman Grossman. I grew up in New York.
So Norman was involved there, and I see him there all the time.
Nice.
Okay, now Kelly, what about you?
Kelly,
You've
what's
always
going
got a
on?
lot going on. What's happening with you?
I always do. I love that. I am arranging and composing some things for younger players. I've been awarded an artist retreat, but I can't tell you about it because it's not public information yet. So I can't tell you more about it, I should say. But I'm looking forward to that in August. And of course, I'm working on the water, visiting a town near you on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm doing a special project in regard to Civil War drummer girls, which has been fun. The research for that has been fun, and that's part of that retreat in August will help me learn a little bit more about a specific drummer from Ellenboro, Wisconsin. So I'm really excited about that, to be a little bit more close on that project. What else have I got going on? And I've been in the process of launching over the past few months a new kind of revolutionary program that is designed to help middle school drummers become really good citizens of their school bands by changing the way that percussion accessories are taught.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I call it Crash Boom Bam. So
Yeah.
That's awesome because I've never taken a tambourine lesson in my life, but I play it all the time in sessions. That's great. I love that. That's awesome.
the kids in school band, the flute player learns to play one instrument, flute, and the
Right.
kid who plays clarinet learns one instrument, that's
Yep.
clarinet. And that's the same for all of those instruments until they get to be a little bit older. But when we're starting out in the school band, we have to play the bells, which is completely different from the vibraphone, which is completely different from the timpani, which is completely different from crash cymbals, which is completely different from triangle, from castanets, from woodblock, from bass drum, from snare drum. They're all different. They're all related, but they're all different. And then you get a slide whistle in there, right?
Mhm.
So it's all different, and nobody is, or at least some band directors don't have the time to dedicate to teach each of those instruments, when they call this piece or that piece. And other kids, if they're way out in the boonies, they may not have access to a qualified drum instructor, percussion instructor. They might have a drum instructor, but who doesn't really know how to play all of the accessories.
Right.
So I'm hoping
I
to bridge
love
that gap and either benefit the teacher by coming to their classroom and teaching all of the kids, or by benefiting individual kids all across the country by being their teacher.
Right on.
Kelly, I know you offered a class over the summer or recently and you're advertising on Facebook that was like a 4-week or a 6-week intensive seminar about various aux percussion instruments. How did that go for you?
It went, fair. Not enough people signed up, but it's really fun.
Oh, you know what? I bet if you build it, they will come. That's my belief. I'm
hoping. I'm really hoping. It's really a part of educating the middle school band directors, because those are the people who are dealing day to day with those kids.
Right.
So
where do you live again, Kelly? What part of?
I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're reaching the end of the show, and I'll throw the question to you first. This is the most important question we always ask every episode. I don't think we asked you before. Jim's going to have the answer because I'm going to go with you first. Where do you get the best pizza in town? In Minnesota. Where do you get it? See, Jim's chomping at the bit now. He wants to you go first.
Well, it's tough because there's not a lot of Italians in Swedish land here where I'm at, and so I like the way that the one place does it, but they don't put any salt in their crust, so that's kind of a no-go. And these other people have a crust that's too thick, and they put on sausage that isn't Italian sausage.
Oh wait, Kelly, we were asking where's good pizza, not where's bad.
Yeah, not bad.
No, there's not an answer for where there's good pizzas, like Chicago.
Okay.
Go to Chicago. Perfect. Okay.
You asked where in town.
Leave town and go get it somewhere else.
Yeah, I get it somewhere else.
Okay, Jim, you're up. Best pizza.
Open a pizzeria, a great pizzeria in her town. That's how you make the real money.
Right.
There you go. All right. So Jim, you don't have one?
Where do you get the best pizza?
I mean, you're in New York. You got to have pizza everywhere.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you can fall off the sidewalk and hit great pizza. So there's a lot of great pizza in New York. There's a tremendous amount of great pizza in Brooklyn. A lot of those places went out of business. DeFar was legendary. Totono's was legendary. Neither one of them made it through the pandemic. But the best pizza I've probably ever had, including in Italy, was Lombardo's of Bay Ridge. Brooklyn.
There you go.
And it's just insanely good. And the owner became a good friend of ours. Our older son actually worked there for a couple of years, and we were regulars there. You're killing me here. He just, like, within the last month or so, kind of took on partners and changed the name of the business. So there's some other guys there, and I've not been there. I've only been there once, and they're carrying it on. So now it's called Little Frankie's.
Little Frankie's.
Favorite.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. There you have it. You heard it here on deck first.
Don't get pizza here.
Okay.
I mean, It'll hold you through,
He'll fill the void.
Ah,
but it's not the same.
It looks like pizza.
Yeah. I guess to answer that question most fairly, the best place to get pizza is at my house.
Oh,
So
There
it's
you
There you go. There you
There
sausage
we go.
dough.
There
That's
you
We're on our way.
yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming on and talking
Thank
about
you.
what you're doing and talking about the Hit Like a Girl contest. We encourage all our female students out there to submit a video and check it out. Go to the website. We've listed it in our comments. Yeah, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you so
for
much.
having us.
thank you guys so much for all you're doing for the drumming community. It's fantastic, and we appreciate it.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks for coming on.